All right, so we're recording. Mr. Bob,
How you doing?
I appreciate you coming on. And before we even get started, you know how much I appreciate your time. I appreciate your candid truth and your opinions and everything that you do. You already know that how much I admire that. So I do want to say thank you right off the bat.
You're welcome. I appreciate it.
But Mr. Bob, let's start with the basics of an introduction. The topic here is substance use disorder and kind of like what it looks like, what the texture is, kind of like how you got to where you are, and then just kind of like the factors that played into it, right? Like the environment, legal process, the world around you, right? And then what you were able to do to kind of get out of that world and into the position that you are today, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So just a quick rundown of kind of like where it all started, how you got to the point where you were like, hey, I need to kind of...
All started as, in childhood and coming from environments where substance use, they didn't categorize it as, substance use or make it seem like it was something that negative, in the beginning. It was, this is what we're doing in these households to have fun. Starts off usually with family members passing out liquor, trying to get the kids to sleep, right? In my instance, it was my grandfather. When the little cousins was over, it's like, here, have a sip of this Budweiser dip, and, we get silly and then we fall asleep. Think nothing much of it, Then as you, get a little older still, very young, you see people smoking cigarettes, you see the adults sipping out of glasses and, see people puffing on things that resemble cigarettes, but they're not cigarettes. They got a different smell to it. And still being naive and not knowing what that is, being accustomed to having some sort of taste of alcohol or, beer, which turned into alcohol later, curiosity and, peer pressure and other kids trying these things out kind of puts you in the normality of this is acceptable.
It just becomes like the normal
It becomes
baseline.
Then it goes down to kids sneaking, liquor in public schools, in their juice bottles from their parents' cabinet, and things like this isn't talked much about unless you're in, a setting that's dealing with substance use. But if you came up in the era that I came up in, this was pretty normal, and then the wanting to try the cigarettes are feeling grown. At that point in time, they had the candy cigarette.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Where you would, puff on this chalk-like
Yeah.
cigarette and it had a taste, and you would blow this little fake smoke out and, think you're cool,
Yeah.
And that turns into, junior high school kids, already doing it, trying to say, hey, try that, this is how you're part of this crowd, and once again, still no understanding of what you're getting yourself involved in. It's just what's normal, I hope that helped navigate the young portion of it, because this normality of use being so young, as you start to delve into adulthood, or you got to go through my teens, and when you go through your teenage years, now it's about being hip and having money, having clothes, having something that is acceptable amongst your community and the communities that you're going to school in.
At that point, it's not even about the drug then, right? It's about the status or the positionality of like the cool kids, not cool kids.
cool kids, not so cool kids, right?
Right.
And if your family doesn't have money like that to get you the updated items, guess what? The block does. You know, and when you get introduced into that world, once again, there's other kids your age doing it.
Right.
You know, it doesn't appear bad at the time. You really don't know the consequences, right? You're getting the thrill of seeing adults come while you're handing them an item, and now you have money in your pocket, right? So that also becomes a normal thing until it's not normal. And what I mean by that is that when you have the extra experiences that come along with being out there like that, right?
Did you ever think of it as, well, let me ask you this first. Do you remember the first time you got intoxicated by a substance? And do you remember the first time you ever sold a substance?
So, addiction is very tricky. Substance use is very tricky. Like I said, when I was younger, the beer was a substance, but it didn't appear wrong. Looking at it in hindsight, it was absolutely wrong, right?
Right.
And you know, even the sipping liquor in public school wasn't wrong.
Right.
It didn't appear wrong.
Right.
But the moment that I started participating in street activity, which dealt with substances, right, was 11 years old, which is fairly young, right? And that night, a slew of events happened. Some that I'm going to leave out of this because I don't believe in. I'm trying to give you a story that you can learn from. You know what I'm saying? It's not very necessary to get into great detail. But there was a series of events that happened that particular night, and that one night ended up being my first night selling drugs and my first night smoking weed with hash and Cisco, drinking Cisco liquor, right, which they call liquid crack. And I stayed out after this scenario or situation happened in this particular area, and was still in shock. And I didn't come out of that shock probably until my teenage years, right? So I'm saying that to say that was the first time I got high to compensate for a traumatic experience. You get what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
you know, and not coming home that next day was still trying to process the series of events that I happened to be in the mix of, you know, and, you know, as an 11-year-old, being exposed to this kind of street life with no real guidance was hard to process. Hard to process.
Was it a pretty fast feeling of, hey, I got money in my pocket, of like, this is good? Or did it take time for it to build up to, hey, I need to keep doing this?
The fast money was quick at that point in time. This
Yeah.
point in time, it was quick, but the turn of events that night put a pause on that until later.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? So a series of events put a pause to that. There was a lot going on that one particular day. You know, and then when I made a revisit, you know, the accumulation of money would come pretty decent, right? But by that time, I was already, what they say, I guess, in the mix of trauma and numb, you know. So the way I processed things was different, you know. So
Yeah, and it's from my learning, co-occurrent disorders are tied one and one with addiction. Like there's anxiety, depression, or some sort of traumatic event that occurs that leads the human to continue that path of self-medication almost.
yeah.
So then at what point did you start to realize like, hey, what I'm doing is quote unquote illegal, and then two, I'm doing harm to myself? Like when did that start to kind of like turn? Or am I going
No.
too
I'm
fast
glad you asked
forward?
that. I'm glad you asked that, right? Because I'm taking you from being 11 years old and putting a scenario and situation where I'm using, right? But I'm not. I'm using the cope, and because it's the normal thing to do, because
Right.
everybody's either, you know, now they're sipping 40s or smoking blunts and stuff like that, right? So that's normal, and I'm being medicated based on how, you know, I'm being guided or navigated through the street life, right? However, I wouldn't say that I was addicted at that point because I was able to stop when I ended up going to DFY. Right? And I didn't have no urge. So it was points and times where, you know, I'm going through the system and I didn't have an urge. Like most people had an urge to want to continue to use, or they missed something, and I really didn't miss that.
Okay.
You know, I was able to get, I guess, what you call healthy, or a workout routine, and, you know, like wanting a blunt or drugs wasn't even part of that.
So would you say that in that period then it was a strong influence of the environment?
The environment, it was what everybody else was doing.
So you're a part of...
What everybody else is doing, right? Like I said, that first night, right, is no longer just family handing you liquor or
Right.
classmates, you know, sharing what they went and got out of their parents, you know what I'm saying? Liquor cabinet.
Yeah.
It's now, yo, we got to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? The police are coming, right? And this is how we relax for the rest of the night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now we're smoking blunts here, have this, take a sip of that, smoke that, you know, and then you didn't see nothing and you don't say nothing. Kind of preparation, right? And that sticks up, right? That, you know, I didn't see nothing, I didn't, you know, I'm not going to say nothing, right? But that doesn't stop, you know, the impact of the trauma,
Yeah.
right? It was like being coached on how to move in a certain way if you're dealing with those activities.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And part of that was, hey, you with us, smoke on this and sip on that, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's that.
Were you selling the entire time?
On and off, because, you know, that block became hot after that first night. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. After that first night, you know. Of course, you could, you know, relocate, which people do, but like I said, I wasn't even, you know, going home.
Right.
You know, I'm hanging out with other people and just doing what other people do that's in that kind of life, just not going back to that particular setting.
And in that time period, was it mostly just alcohol, weed?
That's it.
That was like that.
That was it. Nothing else was introduced till later
Okay.
down the line, right? Nothing else was introduced till later down the line.
Okay. So then after that, then you said you managed it, right? It was the environment. When you were in the crowd, you partake, right?
Yeah.
It's normal.
Yeah, I was able I was able to, purchase items, upkeep myself at an early age. You get what I'm saying? Not saying that, family wasn't around, but it's not the same when you come from, at that point in time, a single family household. You know? So a lot of extra things that I may have thought I needed, I was able to provide myself, based on the little hustle and
Yep.
bustle. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when you look at it from that perspective, because when you're saying, did you continue hustling? Yeah, but not in that particular environment or area.
Right.
Move around. And this became, normal. People know, they see you, this is what you got. You know what I'm saying? And that just becomes like a normal thing.
So then what transpired where if you didn't have access to it, if it wasn't around you, you didn't feel the need to use, right? Like it wasn't like an uncontrollable urge or anything like that.
So the drugs that we, the substances that we
Yeah.
had, right, weren't the ones that we were using.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Those are two different things. And, if a blunt's not rolled for me or I'm not being prepped to learn how to roll a blunt,
Yeah.
I'm not really going to look for it. So it doesn't
Yep.
really, you get what I'm saying? It doesn't
Yep.
really faze me, and I'm not running up in stores. It's like being a child and saying, hey, you make a couple of dollars if you sit out here and you just stay out here between these and these hours, and you know what I'm saying? They're gonna come up to you with this, you give them that,
Yep.
and somebody's gonna pick up that. You know what I'm saying? That was the gist of that routine. And
Yeah.
then, if you wanna hang out afterwards, everybody's, around the area drinking or smoking and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's not like something in my mind at that point in time is like, oh, I need a blunt,
Right.
or I need to drink, right? It wasn't that.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the times, and I think most of society is guilty of this, is that when they see people do that, right, they're like, oh, they're addicts.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not really addicts if they're just recreationally using, because that's like when you go to a bar, you don't walk inside and say, oh, look at all these alcoholics,
Yeah.
right? But when you see it on the streets or when you see it on anywhere else, people get a different viewpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
They interpret it differently. So then what occurred next, right? So you're just dealing, you're using as
But
it's
not
around.
heavy. Not heavy.
Right.
It's no
Right, but you're
heavy usage.
that's what I'm saying, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's your recreational,
Yeah.
social. Like when I go to the bar and I hang out with my friends and we have a beer, I would never say that I'm a heavy drinker and a heavy alcoholic or whatever, right? It's just it's the environment. You socialize, you do what you do, right?
Yeah.
But I don't go home and say, man, I wish I could keep drinking, or man, I need to go get another beer, right? Or
Yeah.
anything like that. So what transpired, and I guess that's the question, right? Is what changed to the point where things maybe got to a different level?
90s rap music.
90s rap music.
Yeah, and it wasn't until, I was processing and reflected that I was like, you know what? I think I was influenced by what they was portraying in this music. Because when I came out of DFY, I had no reason to use anything.
DFY.
Detention for youthful offenders, right? And if I'm not mistaken, this is during the time, because I missed like the whole Tupac and Biggie era type of thing, right? But by the time I came out, the music was relevant, right? And with the music being relevant, they were talking about, Alizé and ounces of weed and, stuff like that. And like to be, I guess considered cool on this little hype of what this rap music is. Now you come out from another environment, you want to show out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you get your hands on some Alizé and, you know, you think you're the same thing as what these rappers are portraying, and you
Right.
might really be that. And not the entertaining part, though. You get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And, you know, and then I guess I thought it was cool to make sure I had a certain amount of weed on me every day. So that, you know, that became part of it. And I guess, yeah, it was, I think a lot of the music influenced it, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
You know,
Set kind of like
a mindset, a certain
Yeah,
mindset.
yeah.
And, you know, I was already used to hustling. And
you
if
already
I
had the
could-
connections, right? Like
yes,
you already knew.
Yes. Yes. And yes. Right? You know, not that I needed to jump out and do that, though.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I really didn't, but once again, it comes to like, you know, now you're a teenager and you're going to need to provide for yourself, right? Still got school. These other kids are looking cool. They're looking hip. And now you got to catch up again, right? And shit, I don't know, you know, I'm not going back to any particular block where, you know, I could go on a boulevard or something like that and just go get my pitching on. But guess what? Everybody that I'm about to go to school with smokes weed. So fuck it. I'm about to just get some weed, sell some weed, and smoke some weed.
One, how long were you in the facility? And then two, when you started selling weed in school, who were your like? What was the main demographic? I would imagine that came up to you and like actually like bought it.
Everybody I was in school with. What do you mean, like
Literally
like
everybody.
like a good, like I would say, without exaggeration, at least 35% of the school, and probably another percentage just dealt with somebody else, or
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, something along those lines. You know. So
The
when
business was good.
it was decent.
Okay.
It was decent. I did a lot of smoking, did a lot of, you know, selling, a lot of hanging out, a lot of smoking with the female. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's just a whole lifestyle thing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
To say that I was completely business minded the way, you know, that it could have been handled,
yeah.
no, I wasn't. I wasn't that. It was enough for me to have money in my pockets, get gear, get more, and do
Yep.
the same thing all over again.
Yep. It was almost like just that's your lifestyle. Like
It was a
It
lifestyle.
became the
It was a
lifestyle.
lifestyle.
Yeah. And then what happened?
Got kicked out of school.
Oh man. How old were you?
When I got kicked out,
Yeah.
probably 16. Probably 16, because I got my GED at 17. Yeah. Probably 16, if I'm not mistaken. Time back then is a big, like, blur. You know,
Yeah.
and when I say that, it's because there was a lot going on at the time. It was a much faster pace. You know, I was smoking weed a lot. You know what I'm saying? And then I went and did that, got into some, you know, got into boxing, got into, you know, took my GED, and now I'm just, you know, playing the field for a minute.
What made you get your GED?
Because you know, one thing about me is that, you know, even though, so I could do well in school, I just don't participate well.
Right.
And when I came from upstate in the DFY, the laws changed. I kind of like felt a certain way when I came back to the city, and they didn't put me in the appropriate setting. I kind of felt a certain way, so I was kind of rebellious the whole time I was in high school. So that didn't sit well. You get what I'm saying with
Yeah.
me? And I actually got kicked out for a whole unrelated issue than weed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
How old were you when you got sent to the detention facility?
between 12 and 13.
Okay.
between 12 and 13.
No, yeah, because
I never completed junior high school.
yeah, and they just put you in high school.
Yeah, because I was going to school while I was in DFY.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
yeah.
It just for me it personally when I think of people dropping out of high school or getting kicked out of high school, you don't think immediately, oh, they're gonna turn around and just go get their high school diploma anyway.
Well, I had support. I still had family support. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm still somebody's child. They're not gonna let me just, you know, go through life being a deadbeat, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it wasn't like that. I made some choices that got me in some trouble, but that didn't dictate who I was as a person. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was far from stupid. You know what I'm saying? So
See, that's the big thing, right? That's the big thing that we all miss is you see someone fuck up and you automatically make that assumption of like deadbeat, dumbass, piece of shit, whatever. But it's like, yo, that was one action out of a person's entire life.
yeah,
You can't make a final judgment on one incident or one whatever, right? And
Yeah.
you don't know. Like I remember Malcolm X talking about the guy who was like his bookie. He had like the craziest memory in the world, and he was like, man, if we lived in a better world, that dude would be like a mathematician and would like play the market and everything else. But because at that time he was black and yada yada yada, he's not allowed to succeed, right?
yeah,
Like he's just not allowed. And so it's just kind of those situations where you'll see kids get in trouble, but they're smart as fuck, right?
yeah,
They're smart as fuck. They're just dealt a bad hand and put in a bad situation. And that combination is pretty deadly, right?
yeah.
Okay, so you get your GED.
So now that I'm thinking about it, because now you got me thinking about the time frame, right?
Okay.
So I got my GED in 1997.
Okay.
Without giving too much, I'm just saying it was 1997 when I got it. So I actually was, I think, 18.
Okay.
I was already. You get what I'm saying? I was 18 at the time.
Yep.
Yeah, I was 18 because it
That's
was
still young
1997.
though. Like again,
Yeah.
when you, and maybe this is my bias, but maybe there's data to back it up. I would have to look it up. But if you get kicked out or you drop out of high school, the chances of you getting a GED is really low until you like get a little bit older.
Yeah.
So for you to actually get out and turn around and still get it,
I didn't want to leave school. I wanted to complete school, bro. I wanted to do school, man. You know.
so they forced you out, like,
Yeah, I was a problem though.
yeah.
You know, and I was a problem not to other, I guess you call them peers and stuff like that. It was to, law enforcement in the school, and they gave me an ultimatum. And within that ultimatum, see, most of the stuff I wanted to say for my book, but I'm giving it to you, man.
No.
Get some of this, man, right? But some of this stuff I was saving for my book, man, right? But I got kicked out of all New York State high schools after making an agreement that I would stop doing something in the back of my high school, and I did. And one of my friends, God bless the dead, because he got killed not too long after, this incident happened. And I was told not to go back in the back and run this operation that I was running. And I said I wasn't going to do it no more. And they had it. And we didn't look alike, but we resembled enough. And they always knew us to be together. Yeah. And I guess he went out the back this time and did whatever he did. And they came in the office and said, yo, you broke your agreement and stuff like that. Yeah, and I did, man.
Yeah.
And I did. But, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It led me down the path that I'm on today.
Yep.
Right? But good.
So you got your GED. And don't worry, Mr. Bob's book will still post everything. So you get your GED. Mm-hmm. Then what's your next move? You just kind of hang out, work the streets a little bit? Like, what's going on?
So I never really left the streets, right? I'm always like, at this point, it's a It's a lifestyle, you know. But I'm not looking at it as I'm in the streets. This is just my natural day-to-day activity. It's not like I'm looking to, yeah, I'm not looking
Right.
to say, hey, I'm going to be this drug dealer, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that.
Right.
You know, I do my same routine,
But that
and I do it for years. Yeah.
and that was part of my question, like early on, right? It's like, at what point did you just take a look and be like, wait a minute, there's like something else, right? And this is not maybe the best, right? Like, or maybe
Oh, man.
I know it's a lot.
It's a lot because I haven't been asked these questions, right? For so long, things that I've done were so normal
Yep.
and routine, and it's like, unless you're like a corner boy, right, or a person who's operating in shifts, you get what I'm saying? Then it's like, all right, this person is doing this or this person is doing that. I've never, like, outside of that first experience, right, my whole journey has been completely different. You get what I'm saying? Like it's been different. Like, I do what I do on a regular basis and never looked at it as being, part of this criminal, illegal activity. It was basic survival, right?
No, 100%.
And as time went on, when the materials changed, then I could be, considered going into this criminal element, right? But in the beginning, the beginning
was just light.
The beginning was bad. The beginning was bad, right? The beginning was bad because it was a substance that you would catch a lot of time for, right? By the time I came out, now it's weed. Who the fuck is gonna fuck with you over weed? Right. People were getting fucked with, but it's weed. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Everybody was smoking fucking weed at the time.
Right.
I'm sorry, I got curse on this? Is that,
Yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you.
Yeah. All right. So, everybody was doing it.
Yeah.
Right? But now we get into this, 18-year-old, now I'm moving around, I'm, feeling myself, I'm involving myself with different people, I'm meeting different people, and as this time is going, now, cocaine's a thing. Right? And cocaine, brings finances. Not only does it bring finances, it gets you a different group of people that you're dealing with, right? So you got the weed, you got the cocaine, and you got a person who's curious. You know what I'm saying? And of course you still be influenced or to a degree by others, but now nothing wrong with a little sniff here and there, right? Gotta make sure my shit is good. Right? So, then, I dip and dab in that.
Yeah.
For a while. But go ahead. This is you gotta, because I'm not good at just.
No, I mean, you're giving me like the background, right? Because what I want to get to is today.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're doing that, and I'm guessing that the process of selling and the network and the substances all increase.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And with that increase, so does the risk.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess what I'm curious about right now is this, during this transition of, hey, my life is just this, to now I'm operationalizing a business, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you begin to think that maybe there was a problem, or was there just never a problem until like shit hit the fan, or like?
It was never a problem until shit hit the fan. Until I'm fucking with multiple drugs, right? Like went through a streamline of drugs now, and the time I get to one of the hardest drugs, now it's a problem because now I have what you call a chippy.
And what's a chippy?
A chippy is when you're going through withdrawals and you don't know that you actually, was using a substance that's going to cause that shit until it causes it, right?
And then you got to use more to get rid of
And
it.
then you got to use more to get rid of it. Right? So I didn't have a problem up until that point
Yeah.
in my mind.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I would have probably told you I never used drugs up until that point, right? And I done used all sorts of drugs.
Yeah.
Every time a new drug came out, I had a hold of it and I used it. Sold and used it. So it's not like, you know, I would be, how can you say, I would be misinforming you if I didn't tell you that I was testing things out as I was going through the process of exploring, I guess, life on life's terms, because as times went on, like every 10 years, some new shit came out. And when that new shit came out, I wanted to be the first to have it. So when I'm being the first to have it, I got it, and I'm trying it, you're trying it, everybody I know is trying. You get what I'm saying? So this is, you know, this is the theme.
Yep.
This is the theme. New weed comes out, guess what? I gotta go get the new weed, I gotta go sell the new weed.
Yep.
You know, the coke was a thing. Coke doesn't really change, but guess what? Ecstasy comes out, Molly comes out, acid comes. You get what I'm saying? So all these are different, you know, forms of, if you're in that kind of lifestyle, it's like, all right, this shit's getting kind of dry. Yo, you tried this? You tried that? You know what I'm saying? So it's just a whole bunch of trying fucking drugs and then never believing that you have a drug problem.
Right.
Right? Because you're functional. Because you still got money. You still maintain a job. You still look decent. You still got, you know, people that surround you. You still able to make things happen until you're not. Until you're not able to do that.
And I think that's what I'm curious about is what was the drug of choice towards the, I guess, peak of your usage? And then what happened that you realized?
Heroin and crack cocaine.
Heroin and crack.
Heroin and crack cocaine, yep.
How did you do the heroin?
Oh, I sniffed it. I don't.
Sniffed
yeah,
it?
I don't shoot no needles in my body, right? God forbid I do something like that, but you know what I'm saying? But I ain't that fucking curious.
That shit is wild.
You know what I'm saying? I sniff.
And then what happened that you're like, you know what? I'm kind of in not in a good spot. What happened?
When you sniff your fucking life away, you put all your fucking earnings and savings and career in the fucking crack pipe. That's what happens.
Did it get like it got that bad?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It got that bad. It gets that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets that bad.
I guess what I'm curious about is that what happened where you were kind of under control, or maybe you weren't, and it got to that point where you're like, oh shit, now I have like nothing because of
Depression. See, part of the catalyst that drove me down that path was a situation and a scenario. Like I said, that some of this stuff I'm keeping for my right.
You don't have to tell me.
Yeah, and that was, you know, a catalyst to be like, you know what, man, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I caught the fuck it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And when I caught the fuck it's, you know, everything came along with that. Everything came along with that shit. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
God damn.
So, you know, that's the raw part of it. That's the raw part of it. And then another part that got me, you know, out of that situation was the fact that I didn't want to die like that. Because I was still me. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm the one using the drugs, in my mind, I'm like, yo, you can't go out like that, B. Like, you know, you didn't even like drugs. Yeah, real talk. In the beginning, I didn't like drugs. I had a thing against drugs. I didn't like that shit.
Did you, at that time, did you consider beer and alcohol and weed drugs?
No, because it was
Part of your...
It was part of the normal part of my upbringing, right?
Right.
And the weed was never considered bad. You get what I'm saying? The weed was never considered bad, right? But that was one of the first drugs I let go, was weed. You know? I thought I was going to smoke weed to the day I died, because to me it wasn't a drug at that point in time.
Yep.
And then it was, like I said, the first one I really gave up. You know, excluding alcohol, because alcohol, I don't like alcohol. I don't like alcohol. You know? So when you look at it from, I guess, that perspective, you know.
So, not to like skip ahead, but what got you into the position where you're like, I'm gonna seek out help, or was it forced upon you?
No, the help wasn't forced upon. I refused to fucking die like that. I refused to go out like that. I refused to go out as a crackhead and a dope fiend. I refused to go out like that.
Yeah.
That's not how I'm into my. That's not how I'm into my book.
So you caught yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I suggest anybody should catch themselves when it gets to that fucking point, right? You know, and I'm my worst critic. Like, I can look at myself in the fucking mirror like, you done fucked up. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And be like, all right, let me go get another one, right? And then,
Yo, let me fix that real quick.
yeah. But, you know, in all seriousness, I had enough. You know, I had enough. I refused to go out like that.
What was the treatment process like for your recovery?
Went into residential treatment.
Okay.
Gave that a shot. I avoided it, you know, for a long time.
Did you just walk in and say, "Hey guys"?
Nah. You know, it took incarcerations. it took a couple of steps.
Right.
You know,
Right.
yeah, steps that I didn't have planned for myself, right?
Oh man.
But you know, when you know better, you do better. So as I
Yeah.
started knowing better, I said, you know what? Let me start doing better, man. Let me put my effort towards getting myself right.
Yeah. And then it was inpatient. Did you ever do like 28-day? Or
Yeah, straight from the 28-day to inpatient.
just straight to inpatient? Mm-hmm. And then how long were you in inpatient?
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Yep.
Do you remember the last time that you did a drug?
Do I remember the last time, like date?
Year or what it was, or like?
Last time was in 2016. Yeah, last time was in 2016.
Do you remember the
Anything. Any of the cigarette, drug,
Yep.
smoke,
Yep.
medicated assistant treatment, anything. That's
Yep.
the last time doing anything.
So you
And
were
never
on.
look back.
So you were on medicated assisted therapy or treatment.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that aspect of recovery?
Well, you want me to start some controversy here, huh? Yeah. So
High level, or
Let me-
we don't have to get into.
no. I'm gonna share this real quick because I want people to hear this, right?
All right.
All right. So I was on medicated assisted treatment. I had tried Suboxone. That shit didn't work. Then I tried Methadone, right? That worked until I didn't need it to work any longer, right? You know what I'm saying? And I went to get off the Methadone. And during the time that I was on the Methadone, I was functional. I thought I was doing what I needed to do. And people were like, yeah, you're not clean. And in my mind, I thought I was still clean. And I wasn't. I had to go get a substance every day.
Yep.
But it didn't dawn on me until one day I was going to get Methadone and I broke down like, yo, this is what my life's been reduced to. Right? This is against nobody that's on medicated assisted treatment.
Right.
I don't want to discourage people, right? Because
Yeah.
I needed it for a point in time. But like I said, it was just for a point in time, right?
It had its purpose.
That had its purpose, right? And after I had that breakdown and went through, you know, a series of internal reflections, I said, this is just as bad as the drug. It's just legal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I needed to get off of it. Because if I didn't have it, I was going to bug out anyway. If I didn't have it, I was going to bug out. If I had it, now I wanted some more. I wanted some more something else, right? Yeah, you know, the typical, you know.
Yeah.
People don't like to admit this. When you're an addict, it's because you want more. Mm-hmm. I want more of what makes me feel good. I don't give a fuck what it is. You get what I'm saying? I just don't happen to like drugs. You get what I'm saying? And the person who likes drugs, you can't give them more drugs,
Right.
right? Because you like drugs.
Right.
And when you go to these places, guess what? There's more drugs going on around,
Yep.
right? And if you ain't using your drug of choice because you're trying to say, hey, I'm trying to stop this, then you may pick up that, right? Because to be honest with you, I didn't pick up crack till I left another facility. I didn't smoke crack until the end of my run. I just sniffed a little dope. Right? I just sniffed a little dope. And I didn't see no fucking problem with it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Until I started smoking crack. and that's the interesting part of it, right?
And that came from like a methadone clinic.
No, yo, listen, man. I'm giving you a lot, right? That came from being sent to a program from my employer.
Okay.
Right? So I was supposed to leave good. And this motherfucking counselor said one thing, man. He said, yo, smoking crack's like opening up a gift on Christmas morning. I never forget he said that shit, right? And I said, damn, I'm gonna let go of this fucking dope. I'm gonna try some fucking crack when I get Yeah, tell me how many people gonna tell you some real shit like that.
Like, man, that shit sounds good. I'll go get one right now.
Yeah. And that's what I did.
That's wild.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to keep going on, but today you've been clean or substance free for 10 years or coming up on 10 years.
Coming up on 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Obviously everything's anonymous, but you and the people around here are just phenomenal.
Thank you.
No, but I do admire the shit that you guys put into this.
Oh, it's a key point because I know you was gonna go here.
Go ahead.
And I'm gonna just go here for you.
All right.
So, when I got into treatment, I said I'm gonna learn everything about this shit that I'm dealing with, and that's what drove me to get into this career. Is that I was fixated on learning everything I could learn about what got me hooked up like that.
Yeah.
Right? Because that shit was mind-boggling. Because I'm a smart motherfucker, man.
No, yeah.
So for that shit to trick me the way that it did and be as mind-boggling and baffling as it was, I said I gotta learn about this shit, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was able to maintain until I couldn't maintain, and then I had to admit defeat. Like, yo, you know what? This shit got me fucked up out here, right? Because I was doing pretty well. Matter of fact, you wouldn't have known I was on drugs to the very end.
Yeah.
I was perfectly fine, yeah, right? And that's part of the disease of addiction, right? You can sit there and cover up the outside all you want. It's that shit that's tearing you up on the inside and inside your mind. So I had to learn about it. And that's what prompted me to get into the career, right?
Yeah.
To gain an understanding of the disease of addiction, the substance use disorder, and the nitty gritty part of it. Because sometimes I don't think people, share honest and openly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They try to cover some shit up, and that may be the shit that saves somebody's life, man. Right? The identification. Mm-hmm. But instead, make them feel like, oh, I'm the only one going through this. Nobody understand this, that, and the third. And
it's the stigma also,
Yeah.
right? Like if I expose that I'm struggling with something, they're gonna look down on me. They won't understand. Like,
it's a big stigma. It's a big stigma. But it's also a lot of other stigmas that's out here, man. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
and when you look at it, even sometimes shit, people got more sympathy for somebody using drugs than a hard-working man just trying to get home at night because he looks mean. The fuck out of here. I'm sorry to say it like that, but it is what it is. It is what it is, man. So, I continue to give my best foot forward in helping people through this journey and process, man. And hopes that they can find the courage, to dig themselves up out of it, right? Because you got to do it for yourself. You can't do it for nobody else, and nobody else can do it for you. You give a person some tools, you can navigate them, you can show them, what techniques or tricks to look out for, right? That they play on themselves, because they be doing that shit to themselves too. They be thinking, they come into a program, I went into a program, I stopped using for a month, I got a job, and I'm good. No, that's far from the truth.
yeah.
Yeah, that's far from the truth. Now you got, a little bit of rest time, a little bit more money to go out and go get some more drugs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But that's the reality of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the reality of it. And yeah, it really is up to the individual to make that final step.
Absolutely.
and just unfortunately, especially with the population that we're working with, the environment is not set up for them to succeed. It's an even more uphill battle.
Yes.
But it is what it is, right? Like, you can advocate for them, you can try and navigate the systems for them, but at the end of the day, they have to make that choice to step into the clinic and step away from the traps. And there's a lot of them.
Yes, there is. A whole slew of them.
Yeah, it's almost, yeah, not impossible, but they make it damn hard. All right, Mr. Bob, I appreciate it. I got a million other questions, but I'm gonna respect. I mean, it's already been 51 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope that whoever listens to this, like, it just kind of like brings a humble lens of the struggles out there, right? Because a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know.
Thank you for getting my message out. You have a great day.